This is Comic Geek Speak, episode 76. Welcome to Comic Geek Speak, House of the Choking Dog. Comic Geek Speak is brought to you in conjunction with worldfamouscomics.com, your spot on the internet for the best comic book and entertainment-related columns, contests, features, reviews, news, resources, and more. I'm Brian Deemer.
I'm Kevin Moyer.
I'm Peter Rios.
We are sexy bitches, yeah!
And welcome to the show. right as we press record, my dog just starts hacking up something. It was really very pleasant.
Beautiful. Impeccable timing as usual.
Yeah. We got a good episode for you. Oh, I have to say, this episode is sponsored by eGerber Products. eGerber Products, the industry leader in long-term storage sleeves for your collection. Visit them at www.egerber.com. eGerber Products, the protector for the collector. They're the ones that we met down in Baltimore. They make all the Mylar bags, and so if you're looking for Mylar, check out their website. They're very reasonably priced, and the guy's really nice too.
Yeah, very good people.
Mm-hmm. On this episode, we have with us on the phone for an interview. We have Morry Hollowell, colorist for all the work that Steve McNiven does, and his girlfriend Carley. Carrel, she said?
Yes.
And she does all the flatting for Morry. So without further ado, here's the interview. And with us, we have Morry Hollowell and Carley. Carley, I don't know your last name.
Carrel.
Carley Carrel. Mm-hmm. And they are artists extraordinaire. Welcome to the show.
Thanks.
Thanks for having us.
So, Morry, you're a colorist, and
Yep.
You're currently working with Steve McNiven, correct?
Always work with McNiven.
Awesome. Even on the cross-gen stuff?
Yep.
Ah, cool.
Yep, me and him have been a team for a while.
Very cool.
And that was just our Greta.
Excellent. And I'm sure our Greta's
here.
here, too. I'm sure she'll join in at some point. So, Morry, the first question we always ask everyone is, when did you first start reading comics?
Well, I think you get this answer a lot, but it's tough to recall exactly when. But pretty much the farthest back that I can recall is picking up comics in like 7-Elevens and stuff like that as a kid, and I was hooked from the very first time I picked up a Batman comic.
Very cool. and you don't remember which issue of Batman it was, do you?
It was, I don't know the issue number, but it was a Batman comic drawn by Norm Brayfogle, and it had the demon in it, Etrigan.
That was right around that was close to the time I started reading Batman, too. I started a little before that, but I loved Norm Brayfogle.
Oh, yeah, he's to this day, he's still one of my favorites.
Yeah,
I think that was Detective Comics. I think probably. I think he did a run. Norm Brayfogle did a good run on that.
Yeah, I guess he probably drew Batman at some point, but I know the stuff I saw him on mostly was Detective.
Yeah.
I don't know. It doesn't matter.
It doesn't matter.
And Carley, what about you?
Actually, the first comic I can remember reading was a Wonder Woman comic when I was 5 years old from the 1970s that my mom actually brought home for me. And for a while I didn't read comics, and then I remember being in 5th grade and having a lollipop, and this kid really wanted the lollipop, so he traded me an X-Men issue for the lollipop, and I became a Marvel zombie from that point on, which is pretty funny because Morry grew up with DC and I grew up with Marvel, and now we're just kind of switching around with each other and everything. I've got a lot of old X-Men comics, and he's got a lot of old Batman issues, so we're teaching each other about the opposite sides.
That's a good trade, though, a comic for a lollipop. I'd do that every day.
Yeah, I was very happy with that trade, and it was actually the issue where Ileana first becomes or gets kidnapped, and she shows back up 13 years old instead of being like 7, I think.
Yeah.
Wow.
And she got in limbo and all that, and it was a really good issue. And ever since then, my poor mom, as I was growing up, had to take me miles and miles down the road to get to the comic shop, which I know she just loved.
So, now I think you've said in emails that you sent to us that you're a flatter, Carley.
Yeah.
Is that correct?
Yeah.
For the benefit of myself, I don't even know, and I'll guess that some of our audience doesn't know either. What exactly is a flatter, and what do you do?
I'm Morry's slave. No. Basically what I do is he sends me the inked pages, and I lay down the flat colors for him so that he can easily select and render everything. I just help him out with the first stage of it, and it really helps being in the studio with him, because when you're zoomed in so close, you're like, is that a foot or is that an alligator? I can't tell what that is. And then he'll point it out to me, and I basically just lay down all the colors, and I get a little fruity with them sometimes. Mr. Fantastic is wearing like neon pink and purple, and then he has to switch it around.
And you doing this all on computers?
Yep, all on Photoshop.
And Mac or PC?
I have a PC, but it's a Franken PC. Macs are better, definitely, for these programs, and he constantly picks on me about how bad my computer is.
So, Morry, you use a Mac then?
Yeah, I have a G5, and before that I had a G3. I just love the Mac. Back at CrossGen, they made us pretty much use what they had in the studio, which was PCs, which I had to sort of acclimate to for a while.
Yeah.
But as soon as I had to start working out of my home again, I went right back to the Macintosh.
Cool. Now, do you use tablet?
Yep, I use a Wacom tablet.
For anybody who has to use a mouse, I feel so bad. Once I got used to the tablet, I never turned back.
Oh yeah, it's night and day. I mean, I colored some stuff even for Crusaders. I used a trackball mouse, which is a lot easier than using a regular mouse. But when you get to the tablet, there's just no comparison. I mean, it's...
You're absolutely right. And a lot of the kids at my design school, they don't even know what a tablet is, and they're doing computer animation, and they're training to be colorists, and they have never seen a tablet, and I'm like, oh, you poor, poor things.
I guess it's kind of a good thing. I mean, I know I started for myself when you're learning to color and doing it with a mouse, and then you get to use a tablet, rather than vice versa, getting started right away with the tablet. But
yeah,
I know that was
like
just
learning to drive a car with stick and then going to automatic.
Oh my God! And then I didn't even have a Wacom. It was some Pablo or whatever it was. I bought it at Best Buy for like less than $100, but it was still great. I mean, it was just a blast to use. And then I just got my first Wacom this year actually, and that was going like from a Volkswagen to a Cadillac. I mean, it was just amazing. It's so smooth and so, I don't know. It's hard to. It just like glides. Everything just it's wonderful. I just love it.
It's more natural for an artist, I think.
Yeah.
Anybody that's used to just sitting around and doodling or painting even with a brush wants to do digital artwork, and they get a hold of a Wacom tablet. It's just night and day compared to trying to use the mouse.
I was concerned at first when I got my first tablet because I'm thinking like, well, now I gotta look at the screen and not look at what I'm drawing, and I thought I might have a lot of problem with this, but it's like, a fish to water. It doesn't even, for me, I should say anyway, it wasn't something that I had to even think about. I just started and it became very natural just to watch the monitor and just do it.
Yep. It's like video games, hand-eye coordination.
Yeah.
So let me ask you about CrossGen and your experiences there. I was a big fan of CrossGen and very sad to see its demise. So can you give us a little background on how you got started there and what it was all like?
Well, I went to the Joe Kubert School. I left. First, sorry, I'm stuttering here. I came from Alaska. I finished high school, and I knew I wanted to do comics, and so I left Alaska, went all the way to Jersey to go to the Joe Kubert School. And while I was at the Joe Kubert School, I didn't want to go back for my summers. I wanted to, work in comics. And I begged and begged the teachers to give me a job, which they typically don't do for the first-year students. But one of them finally gave me a chance, and I applied for McNabb Studios, which was a coloring company in Jersey, and I got a job there. And after I graduated school, I had become such a good colorist at McNabb that, I was a far better colorist than I was a penciler. And about a year after being out of the Joe Kubert School, that's when the whole sort of cross-gen thing had been floating around. And a lot of artists had heard about how, they had a studio down in Florida and you had to move. And at the time, I sort of just, laughed at it until I ran into Bart Sears, who's best friends with McNabb. And Bart told me that CrossGen was looking for people, and if I was willing to move to Florida. And at the time, I was. So I went all the way out to Florida and started working for CrossGen, and it was a great experience. It no longer exists, but it was great. I wouldn't have traded it for anything. I learned a lot there, and it was a lot of fun.
Made a lot of friends.
Yeah, I made a lot of friends. I learned a lot, just having all those other colorists and artists, pencilers, inkers, all in the same area. Even just production in the same building helps your knowledge of comic books grow. You can't beat it.
And he had a really good art collection on his walls. Like the old Betty Page comics, actual pages from there that he had hanging on the walls, all this original art. He had some original Dawn pieces and just stuff from the 1950s. They had to have been worth thousands of dollars, and you could just wander around the studio and look at all of that great art.
And that was from his personal collection?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, nice.
Him being
Mark Alessi. Yeah. So, I forget that there are people listening that don't know what we're talking about.
Wow. What an environment, that's something. And that's what I always thought, when that idea came out, that concept, I thought, what a unique idea. And that only just breeds creativity with all the people working together, being in the same area. It just steps up your game. It had to.
Well, it does. That's why it was so sad to see it fall through. If Marvel or DC Comics ever decided to put something like that together again, I'd be part of it in a heartbeat. Just the teamwork alone. I mean, you learn to acclimate yourself with your penciler and inker so much better when they're right next to you and they can explain why they're doing something, and you can explain why you're doing something, and your work just ends up melding so much better.
Instead of being cross country and thousands of miles apart.
Yeah, because you can go on Christopher Priest's website, and he talks about some comics that he did here and there where he didn't really have a lot of interaction with his artists. So he'd get his art pages back, and he'd have to script them and dialogue them or whatever, and they were nothing like what was in his script. Yeah, I mean, and he's pretty detailed in his script. So that kind of space, that gulf between creators is, I bet that was really just the energy output. God, that must have been so good. Were there times that you guys also could fool around though too, or was it all work?
Foosball. They were horrible with the foosball and the Soul Calibur.
No, don't listen to her. It was all work.
I'd come there sometimes late at night because I had nothing else to do, and I'd be like, where is everybody? People would run around with shoes off and eating pizza and sodas and everything and playing Soul Calibur.
The true demise of CrossGen. Foosball. No.
No, we definitely played. I mean, it was a family.
Yeah, you have to.
That was the thing too. Is the people that got along really got along, and we were there night and day working. And when we could take a break, we all enjoyed foosball or getting together to kick each other's asses at Soul Calibur.
Now, Carley, what's your background? How did you get all started in what you're doing?
Well, I'm actually going to school for costume design, but the way I ran into CrossGen was some art teacher of mine in high school contacted somebody there, and I met one of their PR people and just became friends with him. And then I started meeting the guys at cons and everything. And actually, I think I horrified Morry the first time we met at a convention. I really liked the art of Meridian, and I went to go get something signed. And I think I was wearing a vinyl dress, and I look pretty young for my age. I think you guys have seen pictures of me. And I'm 23, but I think he thought I was 14 at the time at a convention running around. And we actually hit it off and became friends pretty quickly. And I just became friends with all the guys at CrossGen, and I've always loved comics. I've actually modeled for Joseph Michael Linsner, and I just really like that whole community. The comic guys are some of the best people you can meet. You know, you guys talk about how you meet people at cons, and if you just talk to them, it's great, the things that you learn from them. And that's pretty much what I did, and I just became really good friends with everybody. And even though I'm a costume designer, I learned so much from, like, Morry and Linsner and everything, because it really translates over to design.
Morry, did you get hooked up with Steve McNiven right off the bat at CrossGen, or did you work with anybody else before that?
Well, when the very first few days I got there, I was working with Josh. They immediately put me on Meridian.
Okay.
And I think I got a whole issue done with Josh before the whole before Josh left the company, and then they moved Steve, who at the time was just an associate penciler or whatever you want to call it.
He was an art teacher first, wasn't he?
Oh yeah, back before he got to CrossGen. And so when they put him on Meridian, you know, then I've been with him ever since. I think it's issue 6 or 7 of Meridian where we took over the book.
That was one of my excuse me, one of my absolute favorites for CrossGen, and Tasha's as well. She loved that book. So you're partly responsible for keeping my wife into the wonderful world of comics, so I'm forever indebted to you.
Well, that's great. We really enjoyed doing it. We, like I said, we worked as a team, and it's really good that we've been able to stick together even now that CrossGen has fallen through. Now that we're at Marvel, and we're still able to work together and put out some really good work.
So how does that collaboration work between an artist and a colorist? Does he leave you notes and margins, or does he give you some free rein?
It was. We definitely kicked out a lot of kinks while we were there at CrossGen. For a while, he just would draw stuff and send it over my way, and I'd color it, and then he'd see it and be like, "Oh, well, that's not what I was thinking," and I was like, "Oh, well, I did this," and sort of learned that he had to put notes down, and he had to let me know what he was thinking before I got a hold of it, because I could think, you know, a million different things and not know what he's thinking. So, you know, that's the whole thing of us working together so long. Now I know things he likes, so I sort of tend to go towards what he likes. So, and then if there's anything that he really wants, he can write it down in the panel. So I'll just, you know, erase those notes and be able to put exactly what he wants in the page.
And are you? Do you also have like the 4-day deadline, 2-day deadlines that most other colorists that we talk to seem to have?
Oh, it happens. Yeah.
It happens, but I'm an unusual case because I don't take on as much work as most other colorists do. I try to stick to only working on Steve, and I try to get it where I'll do a page a day. Sometimes it hurts because I'm not making enough money, but on the other hand, I'm not spreading myself too thin. Because I just like Steve's work so much, and I love working with him. I like to put my time into his pages, and I think it pays off.
Well, it definitely does. I mean, you guys work. I mean, there's been throughout comics. There's always been either an artist or an inker or somebody that's always complimented each other and always been a great team. And when I first saw your work with Steve, I mean, right off the bat, it was just had a lot of energy to it, and it would just look beautiful. And it's like to me, it's one of those classic teams that you're like bread and butter. It just works. You guys gel together, and the combination of what you guys do together and what comes out of it is just beautiful stuff. So.
Well, thanks. I really appreciate that.
Morry
That's
really
great to hear.
puts a lot of work into what he does, and he takes a lot of pride in his work, and he always wants to make sure that he's really bringing out everything in Steve's pencils. And Steve is just amazing. He just keeps getting better and better and better. It's been great to see him from, start to where he is now.
Yeah, as a longtime Marvel fan, I was very pleased to see Marvel scoop him up after the cross-gen crisis, because, not that I don't enjoy DC books, but I'm greedy, and so I'm glad he's at Marvel.
Yeah, I second that emotion.
Now, what are you guys working on right now?
I'm currently working on New Avengers number 16.
That's the only issue that you and Steve are doing, right?
Yes.
Yeah, because I think is Deodato Jr. taking over at 17, I think.
I'm not sure. I haven't been reading the news sites, but that's probably right.
So what are you going to be working on, or can you tell us after the New Avengers?
I'm not sure if I can tell you.
Okay.
He doesn't even have all the full details on it.
I know Wizard had announced we were doing the Singer run of X-Men, but last I heard that's being pushed back.
Again.
Yeah.
So really, I'm not even quite sure what we're doing after this New Avengers issue, but I'm pretty sure we'll end up somewhere good.
Okay, cool.
Well, keep us in mind so we can share the love and let everybody know what's going to be next. So.
Oh, trust me, when I find out more and he's allowed to talk, it's going to be up on the forums.
Excellent.
Yeah, and your forum participation is just we have to thank you for that. It's just a lot of fun to see people in the business, participating with our listeners and with us and all that.
Well, you guys have a really good community on there, which is hard to find on message boards. You don't have people being all snippy at each other, and I really, a lot of you guys that you have on there are very funny.
Yeah.
Well, I got to thank you just for having a podcast. It really helps the day go by.
Oh, God, yeah.
You've been beaten out by Harry Potter audio tape the last couple of days.
Blasphemer.
But if I didn't have that, I'd still be listening to your latest episodes. It's just great to be able to hear other comic book talk while I'm working. It's something I miss from the studio back at CrossGen.
That's cool.
Yeah, I can bet.
That's a neat way to look at it. Nice viewpoint of it.
Did
We've kind of killed off all of our CDs at this point, so when he found your podcast, I was like, oh, light at the end of the tunnel. God.
Did Steve stay there in Florida, or did he move on to other places?
Actually, he had moved back to Canada.
He's back home with his family.
With his family, yeah.
Okay, so you're all alone there down in Florida now.
Not alone. There's still quite a few CrossGen people out here. Laura Dupuy is still out here with her husband, Randy. Brandon Peterson is still out here.
Oh, yeah, that's right.
Don Hillsman.
Jimmy Chung was here the other night.
Yeah, Jimmy Chung is still hanging around.
Wow.
Derek Donovan or Derek Oakland. Take your pick. It's the same person. Who else is still around?
Justin Ponzer,
Yep.
Chris Garcia.
Yep. Will Quintana. I could keep going and going. There's still quite a few people
Butch
that are
is
hanging
here.
around in Florida.
Well, that's
Butch is
cool.
still here, and who just came back the other day that we saw at the comic shop? Was it Ron?
Drew Gracie?
No, Ron Mars. Didn't he just come back?
Mm-mm. Ron
No.
moved to New York.
There's somebody who just moved back.
Oh, Chuck Dixon was here.
That's who it was,
Ah.
Chuck Dixon.
Yeah.
So at least you're not all alone, then. That's good.
No.
So what are you reading nowadays?
Everything.
I read. That's another crazy thing. Back when CrossGen was around, everybody came to my desk because I bought the most comics. The only person who bought as much as I did, if not more, was Brandon Peterson. We collected a ton of comics, and I read everything. I read all Marvel. I read DC. if my favorite hero is Batman still, but Batman sort of is up and down. It's like a roller coaster.
Well, I'm having trouble figuring out the storylines sometimes because there's so many Batman titles. And if you try to read them all at once, you're like, wait, which storyline was that?
Did you pick up Infinite Crisis 2 today?
Yep, I picked that up today. That was great.
Which cover?
I picked up the Jim Lee cover. I'm a huge Jim Lee fan. If for some reason you're ever in my house or studio, I've got nothing but Jim Lee posters everywhere.
I think we have 6, and you have the 2 giant oversized ones that we had to get specially framed.
What do you mean if for some reason we're at your house? We're coming down for MegaCon.
Oh, okay, good.
Are you guys really going to be here for MegaCon?
When is it?
End of February, beginning of March, one or the other. They switch.
I got nothing going on.
God, that's so close to the New York Con. We'll be like there one weekend and Florida the next. I hope we can swing that.
And WonderCon the week before.
Jesus.
Are you really going to WonderCon?
Pieces. Come on down.
Why not?
You don't have any money, Peter. Well, how are you going to get there? You going to hitchhike?
It's like three months away. I can make plenty of money.
Hey, hitchhiking, he can meet a lot of interesting people.
That's right. There are some lonely truckers, Peter, who need your companionship.
Just remember what George Carlin said.
That's right.
Okay?
Yeah.
Well, Perez goes to the MegaCon a lot, right? He's down in Florida. Yeah. See, I gotta see that man. I gotta see him soon. So I may be coming there and crashing at your place.
There you go.
Cool. Let us know.
Good way to invite yourself, Peter.
That's right.
He's the one who said if we were ever
You're going to show up ringing a doorbell. Right. Who the hell is that?
I'm here to see your Jim Lee artwork. Show me your etchings.
Well, hopefully by then he can show you the impressive library that he once had. Morry has thousands upon thousands of comics, and he did have a whole room devoted to it, and we're just now resetting it up again, and that's a lot to see.
That's cool, because
how many comics he has. It's crazy.
No true comic fan is complete until they have their own room.
Yeah.
That's a rule somewhere.
He even has the Batman bust from the old show to turn the lights on when he enters the room.
Okay, you topped me there, Morry.
But you got to be a fan. I mean, if you're in the business, your trade magazine are the comics. If you want to see what's out there and what people are doing, that's the best way to do it, if you're not in a studio with someone.
Well, that was a big surprise for me. When I started, meeting more and more people in the business, I was constantly surprised at how many creators don't even read comics or won't even go to the store anymore.
Or don't want to.
Yeah, and a lot of them don't do it just because of disappointment. I think a lot of them get disappointed by paper quality or writers or
if the printing messes up a color.
Yeah, and but I don't let it beat me down. I just the fan in me is
too strong.
Just addicted. I have to go and have my comics.
Yeah, I can see a writer not wanting to read everything, because then if you write something, you never know if that came from you or if that's some little, buzzing in the back of your mind kind of idea. One thing that this one director one time told me for a show that I did, he said, you don't ever finish a rehearsal. Once you open a show, it's not complete. It's not a complete product. He says the best you can do is just you just let it go and give it over. And I have to imagine you have to kind of do that with comics as well, because of the paper quality, because of the printing. You hear stories all the time about when DC was going into that flexograph in the 80s or whatever, that weird, wacky, bright paper was, and the colors were running and the separation wasn't working and
coming off on your fingers.
Yeah. And people just were like, thank God they got rid of that, but I guess that does drive you crazy a little bit.
I know sometimes when he picks up a printing of something, a color that he had on the screen, just because it might be really rushed or whatever to get out to the printers and they had to get it out fast, sometimes it won't come out right, or it'll be slightly pushed to one side or the other so it doesn't match up with the line work exactly. Mm-hmm. And he's like, oh, no.
I had that happen. That was one of my first projects as a colorist. I did a back cover preview art for the second issue, and it was a rush job like everything else I did for that company, and I didn't get to see, of course it looked great on my computer, but when I when I saw them at the convention and they handed me the first issue I was printed, I immediately flipped it over because I wanted to see. And I shouldn't say it didn't look nothing like it, but it did not look like what I handed in. It seemed very dull, and the colors were off shade a bit, and it was just a huge disappointment. I looked at it, I was like, my heart sank. I was just like, I did all that work, and it looked real great on my computer, but then I don't know what happened in the process between.
Well, that's the curse of the colorist. There are too many variables. There are too many things that can happen between you finishing it on your monitor and it being put into print for it to come out correctly.
It's nuts. I mean, you think it's something so simple, but they make it so difficult. I mean, there's so many settings, and everybody's got their own settings on Photoshop, but then
and then the calibration of the different screens.
Oh yeah. I mean, your monitor in itself is. I'm having that difficulty right now in this past year. I mean, I've been switching monitors and trying to adjust and get it, just right, and I'm still not happy with it. And
we went through a monitor crisis with him recently because one of his monitors shot out blue sparks.
Yeah.
That was lovely, and then we had to hunt
live Kirby dots.
Scams on eBay. We had to pick out. There was somebody's like, "Oh, I'm selling it for $500," and had to go through all of that, and then he had to spend hours calibrating the screen once he did get it.
Do you have one of those little things that dangles over the screen that looks at the colors?
Little spiders.
Actually, I just do it by eye.
Yeah.
Wow.
That's what I've been doing.
I get a comic that I've already put into print, and then I pull up those files
I see.
In my computer on that screen, and then I just try to match the screen to what's in print as best as I can possibly do it.
Yeah. That's a good way to do it.
Morry, to kind of keep going along those lines, we have listeners out there who are artists and inkers and colorists. What other kind of things would help a colorist? What kind of reference materials? Is it all in your head, or do you pay attention to certain things?
Well, I pretty much I take full advantage of my computer. I DVD capture a ton. I get colors from, I get, if we're doing something in space like the Ultimate Secret stuff, if you look at Ultimate Secret and then go watch Armageddon and Apollo 13, I screen captured a lot of images from those movies to get the correct feel for a space adventure. And get the correct colors and, the right type of metal that a spaceship would have on it and things like that for the comic to look correct. One of the things Joe taught me back at Joe Kubert School was reference.
Yeah, and you have a ton of books, too, from all over. You've got stuff from Japanese artists, Korean artists, everything, because they all have a different style, and you teach yourself pretty well.
Other than the, I just lost my train of thought for a second. Peter was making a weird face, and then I got distracted. Other than the con we just talked about, are you going to be at any cons anytime soon?
Oh God, San Diego, I hope.
Well, that's a long time from now.
Both me and Carley love going to San Diego, so we try to go out there whenever we can. And MegaCon, obviously, just because it's so close.
And we have a friend who has stakes in it, so we go to support her.
No New York, no Philly?
I liked Chicago Con when I went a few years ago, and I'm a big fan of Dragon Con, too.
Well, if you ever
I would love to go to the New York Con. I love New York City.
If you ever want to come to Philly, you can crash at my place.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah, we're only an hour away from Philly, and we always go to that show, so.
Cool.
So,
I don't think I've ever been to that one.
And the trouble we could all get into.
Sounds like a plan.
So when you were talking about the reference material, the reason I had... Do you ever just go outside and, look at the sunset, look at the... I mean...
No, he's just shut in, Peter.
That doesn't help.
I'm extremely pale. I would catch fire if I walked outside in the Florida sun.
He's taken a few pictures of some clouds and stuff like that. But no, both of us are vampires.
Okay.
We're both very flammable.
But no, a digital camera is great. When you're walking around, if you can carry one on you, there's things I see during any given day that I either have to just try to remember what it looks like, or if I have the camera on me, I'll just take a quick picture.
And here in Florida, we do have some of the most impressive sunsets, which I'm sure you've seen in some of his work.
I mean, that's what I was thinking. If you're in Florida, not only do you have you can have some awesome sky things, but you also have the water, the ocean, and if bad weather comes through, God forbid, you could look at some of that. Because some of the pictures that I saw from the mess that was Katrina, those clouds rolling in and things like those are things I've never seen before, and unless you see them, I can't imagine coming up with them.
Yeah.
Cool.
And we've had some pretty bad storms here. Nothing compared to Katrina, of course, not in recent history, but there are some impressive storms that roll through here.
So was that your track? You just went right from Joe Kubert to CrossGen up to Marvel? There was nothing in between, no side projects or anything?
Except for that McNabb, which was the McNabb studio.
Oh, right. But I meant...
Pretty much. I went, like I said, I picked up that first Batman comic, fell in love with comics, and knew that's what I wanted to do. So as soon as I could leave Alaska, I did. And when I got down to Jersey, like I said, I didn't want to go back, so I weaseled my way into a studio job coloring at McNabb. And I ended up working so much on the side coloring. I ended up getting better at coloring than what I was doing at school. And then, like I said, about a year after I graduated, I got right into CrossGen.
That's great.
Now, do you ever do any penciling just for yourself for fun, like sketches or anything?
Yeah, I do. That's something I tell people all the time that I want to be a penciler, because that's when I first went to the Joe Kubert school. That's what I wanted to do, and I still would like to do it. It's just I'm so busy coloring that it's hard to find time to do your own stuff.
We did that really good pinup recently of the Invincible character.
Yeah, I just recently worked on a pinup for Invincible, handed over to Kirkman.
Which is he's a really nice guy.
Yeah, awesome guy.
He's a blast.
Yeah, he and I have a little history.
Yeah, I remember that episode. That was a great episode.
Yeah.
He was a lot of fun.
And the follow-through at Baltimore, then.
Cool.
So that's going to be published then?
I think so. I gave him the CD, and we'll see. Hopefully one of the new Invincible...
Trades?
Not the trades. I think he only puts the pinups in the actual monthly issues. So we'll see if it's in the next one or the one after.
You'll have to let us know, because I'd like to see that.
Sure, absolutely.
Well, I can email you a JPEG of it.
Oh, that'd be great.
Awesome, yeah.
Very cool. Because I was wondering that, because I know, for example, a lot of inkers, guys who start out as inkers end up being pencilers, because when you spend so much time basically redrawing the things, you start to get pretty good at drawing yourself. And I wondered if coloring had a similar effect, because you're not exactly redrawing the images, but you're doing a lot of drawing and just in a different way. And I was wondering if that helps you get better at penciling.
Well, not only that. I mean, yes, when you're coloring over somebody's stuff all the time, you pick up things. It's just happens. You see how they're forming stuff because you're almost tracing the lines, especially when you're flatting stuff. But even just going to the Kubert school, go back to Joe Kubert again, he taught you to learn everything. Because the more you know about penciling, the more you know about inking, the better you're going to be at coloring, and vice versa. The more you know about coloring, the better you can be at penciling, because you'll know how much to put down or how much not to put down, depending on your colorist.
So, how great was Joe Kubert as a teacher?
Oh, I can't even describe it. Just great, great, great. It's worth it to make it to the third year at the Kubert School.
Is that when he starts teaching in the third year?
Yep.
You said it's worth it to make it. Is it difficult, or people just can't hang? They can't complete their assignments, and they drop out?
A lot of art school students just kind of fall to the side. They just kind of drop out. I know it happens a lot in my school. They're there for like a year, and then they just kind of lose interest and fade away.
Yeah, there's like anything, there's a lot of different cases. There's some people will leave because they can't afford it, or some people that they just can't deal with the amount of homework.
They think it's all fun and no work.
Yeah, because Joe, I mean, he really has set up the school to put you to the test, because he knows what it's like in the actual industry. You're constantly working. You have to meet your deadlines, and if you can't get your homework in on time, then you have no chance of doing it for real out of school.
Thank goodness for that.
Yeah.
All the late pencilers and all that stuff going on.
Yeah, I was going to say there's something to learn there as not only a student, but then to put it
As
towards
ethics.
to put it towards your professional work.
Yeah.
Is there an artist that you would love to work with, Morry?
Jim Lee.
Well, besides the obvious, I guess.
Well, I just recently did 2 covers with Quesada, so that made me extremely happy. I did the Wolverine alternate cover just a few months back.
Okay.
Which we have hanging in our living room.
And let's see, Jim Lee, like Carley said, I would love to work with him, but he's at DC right now, so I'm not sure what to do about that.
Yeah. You'll have to come up with a pen name. And
That's what I was just thinking. Make a fake identity.
That's right.
But I'm a big fan of John Romita Jr. I've always loved his stuff. I don't know. I have a huge list of people. I collect so many comics that I end up falling in love with a lot of the artists out there.
Yeah, I think we all fall into that.
Absolutely.
Do you have any other colorists that you really admire? That anybody that you enjoyed when you were growing up?
Well, when I was growing up, I didn't really look at colorists.
Yeah, that's like most of us.
It wasn't until that I, got into it that I started noticing, that other people actually did the coloring and stuff. And it wasn't really till I got to CrossGen where I really started to respect and admire a lot of the colorists out there.
I really think Laura is, I mean, I know you guys have heard it again and again, but Laura is just really amazing.
Yeah.
The stuff she does is great.
Yeah, well, I think just as a whole, if you keep track of any of the colorists that left CrossGen and where they are now, I think we've all became pretty darn good, just as a standard out in the industry. Laura being, one of the biggest and best, and then you go to Justin Ponzer and Frank Diamata.
Frank's great, I love that stuff.
Will Quintana. The list goes on. Just some really great colorists.
And, of course, some of the colorists that were there, though, went to a different career. Like our friend James Rochelle, he works for, what is it, is Scion the name of the video game company he works for?
Not
It's Scion
positive.
or Sigil or something. It was something that sounded cross-gen related, which was funny.
But he's working on the new Marvel MMORG, is it?
Yeah,
It's
massively
like, Sea of Heroes.
multiplayer online role-playing game, whatever.
Yeah, whatever that is. He's working on the Marvel version of that right now.
And I'll never see Morry again after that.
That does look like it'll be fun.
If any of you guys play Halo, you should get his name, because many hours are spent with him playing Halo.
Are you going to go get the new Xbox when it comes out?
I'm going to wait. I'm going to wait probably till the new Halo comes out on it.
I'll give you a reason to go buy it.
Yeah.
Okay, you won't feel guilty then because you'll be playing it 24 hours a day, right?
Getting some real use out of it, yeah.
Yeah.
I was planning on holding off, too, and then I got an email from Best Buy about pre-ordering, and I was kind of like, So that was this morning, and then I found out it was all online, and you couldn't just order the system. You had to order a bundle pack, and I was like, I didn't want to play. Like, if you got a bundle pack, it was like a Madden game and I think one of the driving games or something. And I was like, nah, I don't want any of that. I wanted to.
Well, not only that, you end up spending, close to or over $500.
Oh my God, yeah. The core system alone, with the core system plus one of the Madden games and a controller was like $500 some, and then when you got the updated, the higher system plus a game and something else, I mean, it was close to $600. And I was just, I'm hesitant, but I'm such an avid gamer, and my favorite system is the Xbox that I'll get it. It's just a matter of when, and if I can hold out.
Yeah, also I've been reading some of the magazines, and there's rumors of a version with a bigger hard drive coming out soon after.
And see, that's what I was afraid of.
It's like the DVD scam.
Yeah, exactly. That's what I was afraid of, and that's why I'm kind of hesitant, especially to get it right as it comes out. Because there's something going to change on it or whatever. Especially knowing that I heard that PS3 is supposed to have, when that comes out next year at this time, it's supposed to have 3 times the capability that the Xbox 360 does.
Exactly.
So it's like 3 times the size of the hard drive and all that other stuff is. So I mean, for Xbox, going to have to do something. They can't, sit
Well, I'm
beside.
looking forward to the new Nintendo, but the controller is kind of interesting.
Yeah, what's up with that?
It looks like a remote. I don't... Do you guys ever read VG Cats?
No.
The online comic, the video game Cats?
No.
It's VGCats.com, and that particular comic where they're making fun of the remote was hilarious because it had a lot of interesting plugins. Because apparently it's gonna, how Nintendo is. They have the microphone and the drums and everything that you have to buy in order to play the games.
Right.
So I'm sure they're going to have plenty of that for their interesting little remote. But I heard it's going to have be able to play all the Nintendo games.
Huh. Well, that's cool.
And Morry being a big Zelda fan, I'm sure that will also be in the house.
Well, you'll have to drop me your name, Morry, because then I'll get the Xbox Live and we'll hook up and play Halo.
That'd be great. I love killing people in Halo.
I was going to say, no work's going to be done in Florida or Reading.
Didn't you beat up some of the Wizard guys a little while ago?
Oh, yeah. Wizard made the mistake of posting their name in the magazine. And I joined in on some of their games and
kicked ass.
Killed them.
Oh, yeah.
Doesn't other guys like I know Jeff Johns and some other people like that have posted their information, too. They play... I know they're playing like Ghost Recon and stuff like that, I think.
Yeah.
But, yeah, I'd love to get into that. It's something I haven't done yet because my Xbox is down in my living room and my computer's upstairs and I have the cable modem up there, so I have to get a router, a wireless router and such, and then I'll hook it up. And once I get that done, then I'll get online. So.
Well, email us.
Yeah, I definitely will.
Yeah, that's we did the same thing. In our garage is where my studio is and where the cable modem is, and we have to drag a Ethernet cable all the way from the garage out to the living room to hook up our Xbox Live.
Was there anything? One last thing. Since you do listen to the shows and the podcasts and the episodes, was there anything that made you stop work and throw a shoe at your iPod or wherever you're listening from? Anything that you want to at the time you couldn't retaliate, but now you have some time to just say what you want.
Well, the one thing that I emailed you guys about somebody had mentioned why can't they get stuff out on time, and I was like, no, it's not their fault.
Who were we talking about?
When they were like, well, why can't Steve McNiven? He's inconsistent. I think it was about the Ultimate Secret or something along those lines. And I was like, no, that wasn't their fault.
No, that definitely was not their fault, and that was well publicized. I understood that very well. That they were being shifted around and jumped around. It had nothing to do with Steve's capability of doing the work on time.
Who drew the Ultimate Nightmare? Who was that?
That
wasn't Steve McNiven, right?
No.
Because that's the one that I said. I wondered why they had some guest artists.
Wasn't that Trevor Hairsine?
Yeah,
I think it was.
And then they put another person on for 2 issues, and that was the ultimate. I know for me personally, that was the one that I didn't understand why they did that.
Yeah.
I mean, we totally know that things like that happen. It just you wish they were a little more forthcoming. Then, if it's not something that needed to be. See, I'm of the mind of. These are monthly publications, and they solicit them as monthly publications. So when something is late, either let us know, or when it's drastically like I don't know what the secrecy. Maybe it's none of our business. I don't know.
You mean like Spider-Man, Black Cat, and
well, but like the Superman, Batman over at DC, which is like months late.
Yeah.
Why? Give us a reason why, and maybe I won't drop your book for being so late anymore. That's kind of what I feel.
Well, you have to cater to the people who read it, or you are going to lose your fan base.
Yeah.
That's why I stopped getting Ultimates, because I knew that the first run was so late, the actual book Ultimates, and I knew they were going to trade it in an hardcover. I said, well, you know what? There are going to be plenty more people who are going to buy this monthly. I don't want to wait anymore.
Right.
And I dropped it, and I know that there are problems and things happen, but for the industry to go decades without any comic being late, or if they were late, they put out a reprint issue or whatever, it still came out. You still had a monthly issue of X-Men, Daredevil, Green Lantern. It just maybe it was a reprint, but at least it still was an issue.
Or fill-in.
A fill-in. Yeah, that's something. What I mean. But the title was there.
Right.
And I don't know the industry. I don't know. Maybe there are more things than we realize. But when you're ordering these books, and then you got to order it again because it's being resolicited, and then it's being resolicited a third time, and it's just like, well, what's the deal? I don't know. And maybe we'll never know. But
I don't know. You think they would have learned their lesson after some of the fiascos that have come up, but it just seems to still continue. So,
yeah.
I don't know.
Yeah, it's. I think the biggest thing when I heard it was, and even online, I'd read stuff online where people were upset at Steve, and I was just like, me and Steve, and we work just as fast as we did when we worked on Meridian, and it hasn't changed. And I get just as mad when I collect a book and the artist changes and I'm unaware, especially when they put the cover artist on and you open it up and it's a different artist.
Oh, that's always disappointing.
Yeah.
But
especially when it's dressed.
Like you guys said, it's just the industry. It's who knows what those guys in charge are doing.
Well, damn it, we're storming Marvel headquarters and we're taking over.
I think it's a lot like the movie Office Space.
Yeah.
Wait, did you get that memo?
Careful what you say. Let us do the ranting and raving.
That's right.
Wow.
All right. Well, hey, we really appreciate you taking the time to join us. It was a lot of fun.
And a blast. Thanks a lot.
Yeah, it was great.
I just have to say real quick, thank you for Fables for making that your book of the month. I'm completely addicted.
Cool.
Excellent.
Had you read it before that?
No, I had never even picked it up, and I took a chance on it, and now I'm like, oh, what's going to happen? What's going to happen?
Excellent. And, that's our whole goal with that is we know not everyone will like everything we recommend, but hopefully, at least, 5-10 people out there will say, oh, it's now on my to-read pile because I love it. And that's...
It was definitely a book I never would have read.
Yeah, me neither.
Well, you guys have definitely got taste, I'll say that.
Cool.
Excellent.
Thank you so much.
Yeah, it's a good thing we're not pushing... forget, I'm not even going to say.
Yeah, quit while you're ahead.
One of the things, though, Morry, that you said a while back, kind of made me stop and think, where you said, here you are in the industry and you're getting all these titles week in, week out, and it's kind of like, you know what? If you are a fan of comics, there should be even something you can find good in even the stuff that's not so good, and then same thing, Carley, what you said about the message boards. We try... I'm glad that people are listening and kind of saying, we're taking their suggestions, they're taking our suggestions. There's stuff on there that they suggested that I never would have read. Walking Dead, that was a big push on the message boards, and then we did it for a book of the month. And it's kind of like, the more that you celebrate the thing that you're either working in or that you're a fan of, the more enjoyment you're going to get out of it. And also I think it'll be infectious and spread, and maybe we can get away from where's my anthem? I need some anthem music behind this.
Soapbox music.
But I even said it on the message board not too long ago. As much as I love to read Wizard, I don't like the attitude that they think their readers have, and maybe the majority of them do have that fanboyish attitude. But I don't want to believe that. I want to believe that we're really into what we're reading.
I'm going to have to agree with you on that. They do kind of set a weird light. Wizard definitely kind of sets a weird light. You know, I go to a lot of cons, and I have been since I was like 10 years old, and the stereotype that they give is silly.
Yeah, we're all way cooler than that.
You guys are my heroes.
Cool.
I do have to say, for your podcast, you are much better than some of the other. Wait
a minute, you got to say that again. You just cut out.
Yeah, it was like we had a censorship
you guys
there.
are better than a lot of the other comic podcasts, other ones, and they couldn't even figure out what artist they were talking to, or if it was an artist or a writer. And they had some pretty big names on there, and they were just, really good people to interview, and they just kind of messed it up. And we instantly were like, oh, God, I don't like that guy's voice. He doesn't sound right. There's no intro music. What's going on?
Well, that's nice to hear. That's good to hear.
Yeah, we appreciate that.
Yeah, and that's what's great about, the people that we have, that we all have different backgrounds, different viewpoints, different likes, different dislikes. So everybody's got, something to add, but generally everybody has a good attitude towards things, and nobody's just doing things or doesn't like things just because it sucks. There's a reason behind it, and it's something that we can discuss, and that's something we always found in the comic shop. We spent countless hours doing, so it's nice that we do it here and tie that in with people from around the world. So
yeah.
So it's cool that, especially with, hearing that creators and such are listening and having a good time with it as well. That's really fulfilling.
Well, we can't wait.
And don't be afraid to invite us to do this again.
I was just to.
Yep. I was just going to say we can't wait to have you back, not as an interview, but just to be a guest with us and run the whole episode.
Oh, yeah. If you want to rant on any comics or anything, we both read a lot, so.
Cool.
Excellent. So until I join the Morry School of Coloring.
Well, come on, you guys don't want to dress up in any of my costumes?
I want you to.
You.
I saw your costume gallery. I want you to make me a costume. She had some awesome leather stuff in there that I've always wanted a really cool.
I don't know where you're going with this.
No, not the dresses and the high boots. I mean, like a cool Matrixy outfit. I always wanted one like that, but you can't do it, unless you have somebody who's personally tailoring it to your body.
It does need to be personally tailored. Anyone that you can buy just like at a Spencer's or something is going to look wrong on you.
Right.
Hey, what did you think of our Halloween costumes?
I loved them. I'll be completely honest. Some of the pictures weren't coming up for me. I don't know why. But the ones I did see, I was like, oh, my God, that's great. You guys do a good job.
Excellent.
Don't even you're not, my friend who did the Mindbender costume from G.I. Joe. It was terrifying. It was so scary. And you guys definitely topped that. It was much better.
All right, good. We'll try to make next year even better.
Yeah, if you guys do make it to MegaCon somehow, bring down the costumes.
Oh, all right.
Cool. Excellent.
All right, guys. Well, thanks again, and we will definitely be talking to you soon.
Yeah, it was a pleasure.
All right, thank you.
Great.
Okay.
All right, have a good night.
You too.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
Action.
Well, that was cool. I love that cross-gen stuff, and I'm so ticked that it went out of business.
I love their stuff, though. I mean, even the latest stuff. When I first saw Steve and Morry working together on Marvel Knights 4, it just blew me away. That artwork just blew me away.
That's a great book, too.
Yeah. And then to see him get moved on to, I loved Ultimate Secret, and to be him on, the New Avengers, and it's just great. Great stuff. I look forward to anything they do.
Yeah. You want to do some listener emails?
Sure.
We got some time
Certainly.
here. This is from Brad Schwartz. He does View from the Cheap Seats. .blogspot.com. Anyway, he says, guys, I just wanted to make a quick comment about Lena's local comic shop having the ultra-violent and pornographic manga in the front of the store. Perhaps the store was having a theft issue with that material. It's true, you put the stuff you're worried about people stealing in the front. And he says, I'm not condoning putting offensive material where regular people and children can see it. And yes, children are regular people too, just smaller. But if theft is a reason, I can understand why, although there should be a better alternative. I take my 3-year-old son to my local comic shop every once in a while, and would stop if they started displaying that kind of stuff where my son might see it. It's a good point. But, I mean, maybe they should just put it behind the counter. Or, well, I can't really put it behind the counter. I don't know. But it shouldn't be the first thing you see in the store.
Yeah,
they could put it nearer to the cash register if they're worried about somebody stealing it. I don't know.
Someplace you can keep an eye on it, and it's not wide out in the open, right in your face as soon as you walk in the store.
Right. Oh, Jamie, you probably have a comment on that. Okay, of course. I think I'm going to save this one here for when Jamie's here. All right. Hey, guys. Big fan here, but what have you done to me? I spent the past 2 hours watching Numa Numa videos thanks to the fact that I didn't make it past the first 3 minutes after hearing Brian saying to look it up on Google. I have become so totally obsessed it isn't even funny. I forwarded links to the frickin' video to everyone I know, and if it wasn't for the fact that I'm not a big fan of cameras, I'd consider making one myself. Anyways, I love your podcast and have been listening since iTunes came out. Keep up the great work, because as someone who didn't start reading comics until my 20s, I thoroughly enjoy your various perspectives. Numa Numa obsessed, Luke.
Maybe the CGS, maybe we need to do a Numa Numa video.
Oh.
After I listened to the episode and I heard that going on, and I Googled it, or did the Yahoo video, and I got this video with these 3 guys, like, doing this stupid shit together, and it was totally retarded. I mean, I was what's the set behind this?
You have to see the... I'll show you off there, then.
Because we could set up a camera just like he did, keep it still, all of us do the whole song, but then splice us in, like, do the first lyric of you, and then you know what I mean?
Saying, yeah.
So it's a whole bunch of us. Like,
God.
That might be funny.
I don't know if our fans want to see that.
I think I do, though.
Do you want your name on the internet attached? Okay, here's one from Jarrett, who we just had on the show. It says, thanks for having me on the show. When we discussed how to set up a comic shop, genre, alphabetical, publisher, in episode 75, we mentioned that people should read reviews. I thought it might be appropriate for you guys to plug some of your favorite venues for reading reviews. I'm a big fan of The Fourth Rail, but it's only 2 guys who obviously can't cover everything. They hit some big ones, a few indies, and the ones they like. The site features full reviews and shorter ones called Snap Judgments. Sometimes they focus on a specific indie label along with their regular features. It's a great site for well-written, thorough reviews. That's thefourthrail.com. So where do you guys go for critical reactions?
I go to the people sitting right across from me.
Yeah, I don't think I really read any reviews.
No, neither
Very seldom, but I do read a few. I mean, I catch... If I'm curious, if I'm not 100% sure and I don't know that anybody's got, the issues or whatever, I'll check, that Buzzscope, I think the one website, they usually have reviews as well as previews and comic book resources. Depending on the character, too. I know if I go to certain character websites, like a Daredevil or something like that, they'll post links to reviews of issues and such. So I know that's something I've done before, too. But, yeah, I'm not a big, review guy,
It's the same with, like, movies and theater,
Yeah,
I kind of trust my own instincts,
Yeah.
I take people's opinions, but it doesn't make my final decision.
Well, this is the problem I have with reviews, and of course I have an opinion. When it comes to theater, too many reviews are about what the reviewer wanted to see and not what they saw, and that bothers me. I don't want to know what you wanted to see. I want to know. Tell me what you saw and tell me why you didn't like it or whatever. So like on our message boards, when people start talking about certain comics, I like that because they, the majority of them do. They talk about the comic,
right,
and not around the comic. And I guess maybe that's why I don't really put faith in, especially movie reviews. You can't put faith.
Well,
in
yeah. I mean, if I listened to all the knuckleheads, especially on the message board, I would have never seen the Hulk movie, which is freaking fantastic as far as I'm concerned.
Well,
So
and
there.
the other thing with movie reviews is, movie reviews with comic reviews, I'm such a fanatic about not having any spoilers. What can you really say in a review? The artwork was amazing, and the story was really gripping.
I think the ones I've read, though, that have been very... I mean, granted, they have to go into some sort of...
That's what I mean, and I don't want to know a damn thing.
So that's a good thing. That's a good point to point out that, you know, if you don't want to know spoilers, then you got to be very cautious on...
Sometimes I'll glance in CBG. They have a lot of reviews, and they have a star rating or something. So I'll just kind of glance at the title of the comic and then the number of stars and say, oh, okay. And I don't actually read the review. I just look at those stars because, again, I don't want to have anything spoiled for me. So,
I do like to read like overviews. Like if somebody does an overview of somebody's work from some run of books, that I like because maybe there's something that I missed while reading it, or they'll enlighten me on maybe the creator's personal background, that's the reason why they did something, or because of other comics they wrote, or some book they read, something like that. That I do like to read. Having said that, though, I this kind of popped in my head. Derek Coward does the comicbooknoise.com podcast, and he has a very unique review system where he has all of his comics in an Excel spreadsheet, and he just punches up a number. And whatever comic comes up, he does a random comic review on it the next podcast. And it could be an Amazing Spider-Man, or it could be Quantum Leap. So, and it's kind of cool. It's kind of cool hearing somebody's review of something they've read, a long time ago or whatever. Especially something random like that, and then he compares it to when he first read it and stuff like that. So that I kind of like, but.
Yeah. All right. Next email here is from Emily the Librarian. It says, thanks for having the ladies' point of view in episode 73. As a librarian and a comics fan, I have to comment about getting graphic novels from libraries. Most of the good libraries have some kind of decent graphic novel selection. It's getting better and will continue to do so as long as patrons keep requesting them. Librarians have to buy titles with positive professional reviews, so that's why there's always lots of Mouse, Watchmen, Alan Moore, etc. They're the more literary titles that are reviewed in the library journals. The superhero titles are getting more press as librarians get hip to the comic scene, and the librarians hire more cool young librarians. So hang in there. In the meantime, check out your local library's catalog online. Guys, for us, that's www.reading.lib.pa.us/home. A quick search for Bendis in your system brought up 16 hits, and a good interlibrary loan department can try to get you any title that's in any library system, even out of state. So help yourself because the library is there to serve the community. And Tasha, Lena, and Catherine are freckin' swear. Thanks, Emily the Librarian. So there you go. We can read some Bendis from our library.
I love when the listeners do our work for them.
I know.
All right, whoever's listening, I need a bag of groceries sent to my house next week so I don't have to go out to eat.
Let's not push it, Peter.
I know, sorry. Watch, I get like a bag of groceries sent to your address.
Yeah, it's sent to my house. Nah. I'm going to eat all the good stuff and leave you with a can of beans. What do you want to do next?
Was that a racist comment? Just because I'm Puerto Rican, I have to eat
beans and rice.
I was picturing cowboys sitting in front of a fire eating
negros frijoles.
Totally kidding.
Okay.
Just trying to start.
Now
just
I'm all
trying to start
flustered
trouble.
Here. Jeez, I don't know what you're doing here. Yeah, just keep talking.
Speaking of Alan Moore, if you've put in your order for November. For the January shipping books, and I almost missed this. They're putting out 2 trades of the Alan Moore Supreme run.
Oh, really?
Yep. It's I wish I had it in front of me. It's like 20. It's like 26 something. It's about maybe 10 or 12 issues in it, and it's his. I think it's called the Story of the Year arc, and it's all his Supreme stuff from Awesome Entertainment. And it was at the time, I remember people really liking it. It's kind of a riff off of the whole Superman and Superman family, the whole Superman in the Silver Age, but starring Supreme.
I've never read those.
I've always wanted to read them.
Yeah, so did I. Since I've been intrigued by what people have said about it, but I've never read them.
So the first trade is being solicited, and then they're going to do another one eventually, I guess.
That's cool. I'm late on my order again this month, so I'll have to add that.
Hey, speaking of stuff to pick up, I just God, excuse me.
Have it.
I just in my last shipment from DCBS, I got Live Wire's digest. It was a Marvel 6-issue series, and I've read the first 4 issues, and it's really, really fun. The artwork is very good, and the story is quite cool. I was really surprised. I'm a sucker for digest, so I picked it up just because I can't say no to a $4 digest, and I'm really, really enjoying it. And if you enjoyed Runaways, and it's not really like Runaways. It's new characters set in the Marvel universe, and it's just fun. So I really recommend checking it out. It's an $8 digest, so it's not expensive at all, and it's just a good read. So I don't know if they're going to do more of it or not, but I certainly hope so because it's really cool.
I know there's some listeners who always request that we need to give some of our own little. It's funny, we just talked about reviews to kind of keep on with this. I just read from my shipment Batman Under the Hood. I'm not a big Batman fan. I don't read Batman regularly. And we just had one of our last episodes, we talked about Judd Winnick a little bit, and he wrote that. It's Judd Winnick, Doug Munka artwork. It's the whole return of Red Hood and the person who's supposed to be Red Hood, and there's little snippets of continuity dealing with both Identity Crisis and Superman, Batman, and stuff leading up in Infinite Crisis. It was actually really good.
Huh.
I was really surprised.
I'm going to have to borrow that because I wanted to order it, but then my order was so big I just had to cut something out. But I'd definitely like to borrow that.
It's 7 issues. It collects 7 issues. It's only $9.95.
Yeah, that's what I thought.
It's not the cheap newsprint paper. It's good quality. It's a good square bound trade. I was really surprised, and like I said, I was surprised by the story as well. One of the things what was the other thing I was going to say about that? I totally forgot. So yeah, I'll have to let you borrow it because I was surprised that I'm not, like I said, I'm not a fan of Batman because I think he's all over the place. Just like Carley was saying and Morry, the big icons, they have so many titles around them, both Marvel and DC. But for a short, sweet story, it was really good. And there was a character in there that's been in the Batman universe for a while, Onyx. She was a black superhero. She was like in the old, not the old detective, but the 80s detective with like Green Arrow. And
she's back that far. Oh, I didn't know that.
And she had a really cool costume, and she's like this assassin and this turned hero, but she's in it. And when I saw her, I was like, oh wow, that's, I can't believe they brought her back. But check it out if you're,
I've heard talk
really
about
good.
Judd Winnick's Batman, that they were, saying that he's writing a darker book, which is not normally his style, but they were saying that he's come up to the plate.
But very true to Batman, like true to the ideals that most people think Batman should be. And Nightwing's in it, Alfred Pennyworth, and they have like their own little scenes where they talk about Batman, and I was really surprised how much I enjoyed it.
Check it out, especially for that price. I mean, you can't go wrong.
Yeah, $9.95 for 7 issues.
7 issues for $9.95. Shit. Well, that's got to be what? I mean, was that DCB's price, or was that
no?
That's cover price.
That's cover price.
Wow.
Because I don't think it was 50% off. Because it was 50, I would have gotten it. But
I think it might have been for
really.
Me, for me to get a trade.
$5.
I think it was. I think that's why I picked it up.
That's foolish not to. I mean,
I don't know what I was thinking.
I didn't see it because I don't look for Batman, so I didn't even look for it. But now I will.
Heck yeah. That's right. It wouldn't be Comic Geek Speak without Stump the Reels. All right. This is from Michael Schwartz.
The Schwartz be with you.
Yeah, may the Schwartz be with you.
Why is your Schwartz bigger than mine?
I heard that you were a little low on Stump the Rios games, so I thought I'd give it a try. First, I would like to bring up a subject which I don't think you've discussed yet. the Marvel superhero trading cards from 1990. They were a big deal in my elementary school and were partly responsible for getting me interested in comics. Not only was the artwork good for the most part, though I'll never understand the Professor X card where he is standing up and appears to have a hairline, but the best feature was the back of the cards. Real names, group affiliations, heights, weights, battles fought, wins, losses, ties, win percentage, nicknames, arch enemies, and first appearances filled my head with so much suspect information it would make your head spin. The Marvel cards were separated by heroes, villains, rookies, famous battles, most valuable comics, team pictures, Spider-Man mini interviews, and finished off with a card for the one and only Stan Lee. I guess a Kirby card was too much to ask for. In later card sets, Marvel replaced the fun yet research-intensive battle stats with more arbitrary power ratings. Blah. DC also came out with their own series of cards at the time, but they sucked big time. They didn't even include any Batman characters, the only DC characters I cared about in 1990. Well, I guess I've walked down memory lane far enough to come up with a few Stump the Rios questions focusing on the first series of Marvel cards. Here you go, Peter.
We might as well stop now.
I have those. I used to buy those.
I have the whole set.
Yeah, I used to buy it because the one set was drawn all by Bagley, and then they used to do certain things like that, and I was buying them every year. And I used to buy the Jim Lee X-Men cards and Mark Bagley Spider-Man cards and Dale Keough and Hulk cards, and I used to buy all that stuff.
All right, question 1. What two
Donald Duck.
Come on. What two vehicles are featured on their very own trading cards?
The Quinjet and the Fantasticar.
The Punisher's battle van and Captain America's motorcycle.
Oh, the old Harley Davidson.
Question 2. According to the Aunt May card, how many life-threatening illnesses has she recovered from?
7.
23.
Yeah, I figured my number was low.
Jeez. That just goes to prove my point about what I said in the Marvel about Spider-Man.
Yeah.
Question 3. On the Fool Killer rookie card, who is listed as his arch enemy? He's actually taking the time to think about that one.
Yeah, because I mean, it has to at some point go back to comics.
I think I may be wrong, but
arch enemy. It's not going to be an obvious answer now that I think about it.
Right. It's more of a. I don't know. I shouldn't give him any help. I could be wrong too. I don't know.
Kingpin.
No.
Or Captain America.
It's more generalized in essence of think of the name.
Oh. Idiots.
Well, come on. What's the name?
What, fools?
Yeah.
Is it going to be that?
All fools.
All right, are there comic trivia questions in there anywhere?
Come on now. You got to give them points for originality.
I guess.
You guess. You're just a sore loser.
Haven't you figured that out?
My encyclopedic knowledge is not all omnipotent.
Comics.
Yeah, it's about comics.
Comics.
Hey, Brian's got him. I've got him.
Choking down the microphone there.
All right, let me do this announcement real quick. This episode 76, is going to air November 14th. What we're going to do with Stump the Rios is we're going to offer a prize beyond the normal little prizes that we give away. That what's his name? Michael, Matt, who just
Michael
Schwartz, that Michael Schwartz will receive. So, to get in the running of the Stump the Rios questions, your Stump the Rios questions have to have. Well, I'll tell you what the prize is. The prize is going to be the Smallville Season 3 official companion that was sent to us along with some other things, graciously and generously, by Titan Books, a division of Titan Publishing. You can visit their website, www.titanbooks.com. Titan Magazine is the one, they're the guys that, or the company that puts out like Smallville and Alias and Charmed and Buffy and...
Yeah.
But they also do some comic graphic novels and hardcovers and Transformer digests and things like that. So we got a package, and that was just really cool of them to do that. So if you win Stump the Rios, all 3 questions, you will get the Smallville Smallville Season 3 Official Companion by Paul Simpson. Now here's the catch. It has to be a DC, a Marvel, and an other. One question has to be DC, one question has to be Marvel, one question has to be other. And it has to be about comics.
Quack, quack.
And so what you need to do is when you send in your submission, make sure you put on there, like for the Smallville prize or something, so that we know, when we look in our mailbox, we know which ones are for the prize, because we know this is going to air at a certain time. So
Right, and then what we're going to do is we're going to read them in the order that they come in. So if the first person who sends us Smallville questions for the Smallville prize, if they stump Peter, they get it. It's done. The contest is over.
Right. We'll use those other trivia
But if we have to blow through 5 entries until number 6 is finally the one that stumps him, then that's the way it's going to work. So it's the order in which they are received is the chance that you have to win the prize.
Right.
And
but
once,
again, as all Stump the Rios, you got to make it reasonable questions. As
right,
well.
and we are ultimately the judge, and so the rest of us will decide if Peter's just being a sissy pants or if it's really an unfair question.
Right. For the amount of bitching I do, I mean, all these questions are fair so far, the ones we've been getting. So,
yeah.
When I storm out the room, that's when I just totally don't agree.
That's right.
So thank you, Titan Books, for doing that.
So should we do a calling?
Yes.
So it's Wednesday again, Peter. So we're going to call Mario again.
Oh, we're going to try again.
We're going to try again.
Do it.
All right, let's.
And while he's dialing, real quick, go to Newsarama. They have an interview with Gerard Jones. And, of course, we just had an episode with Gerard Jones back in 70 or 71. So it's a nice little kind of like follow-up to what we talked about. So Gerard Jones, the Men of Tomorrow novelist, or author, I should say.
Did we get his voicemail already?
I can't hear anything.
Yeah, I didn't hear anything at all.
Person, press 5 now.
Yes, we did.
Oh, I had the volume down. We got his voicemail again. Mario.
That's strike 3.
3 Wednesdays in a row. Are you going to learn?
Boom.
I just... It was funny the second time, and the third time, I don't know. I mean...
Well, we can't. He's got to go in rotation now. That's
right.
3 times. I'm sorry.
It's like George Bush. Fool me once, shame, fool.
I'll never be a fool again.
So, yeah, I don't know, man. Maybe we'll find it in the gracious and No, we're not.
No, that's 3 times. Come on. There's people who've been sending us.
I know.
We gotta.
Yeah. Maybe we should call another one next.
Oh, we
just
will.
To let's
hang up. Bye.
All right, bye, Mark.
See you, bye. So we're gonna try another one.
We're gonna try another one.
All right.
Let me pull one up here. We have a lot of them.
What's
here.
up with that?
He wants it to become a running segment, I think.
Well,
can we get a hold of Mario?
Guess what? Segment just ended.
Here, Darth Kramer. We haven't.
Oh, wow,
man, what's with my throat? We haven't called him yet, have we?
No.
I thought we did.
Did we?
Or maybe we got an email from him or something. What's his real name? Something Kramer? I don't know. Try
Matt.
it. No, we didn't talk to him. I know we didn't talk.
No, we didn't talk to him ever.
We may have called him, but
Really? All right. Well, let's try.
just try it. It's fine.
Why not? It's got to be better odds than Malto Mario. Hello, hello. One ringy ding.
There it is.
His name is Matt.
Two ringy dingy.
You don't have the music queued up.
Shit.
You kidding?
Hello.
Hello, Matt.
Yes.
Matt, this is Brian Deemer and Peter and Kevin
Hello.
from CGS. Do you know who we are?
Yes, I do.
You sound very confused.
We're not selling subscriptions.
You want a credit card?
You want some grit? Okay, do you have a moment?
Yes, I do.
How are you?
Pretty good. How about you guys?
Not bad.
Excellent, thank you.
It's Wednesday. Did you buy some books?
Yes, I did.
What'd you get?
Let's see. Let me walk over to my pile.
The stack.
I got The Hulk, 88, Friendly Neighborhood Spider-Man 2, Ghost Rider 3, Teen Titans 29, Hawkman 46, JOA 122, and Infinite Crisis 2.
Which cover?
The Perez cover.
Good for you.
Excellent, and pronounced correctly.
Yes, so I don't have to send in a quarter.
What have you read so far? Have you read anything?
Everything up to the Hulk.
Wow, you've been busy.
Yes, I have.
That's what Wednesday nights are for, right?
Exactly.
Hey, your participation on the board and also on the comic book DB is just incredible.
Thank you.
Yeah,
Spit it out.
Seriously?
The microphone's cutting out. No.
Yeah, nice try.
I'm loving that comic book DB. How many entries have you made so far on there?
Oh, about 950
Wow.
or so.
Man.
Wow.
Yeah, I was gonna say, act like you don't know. I was waiting for you.
How big is your collection?
About 2,500 issues.
That's not bad.
I think I've got about 12 long boxes.
Cool.
Peanuts.
You're getting there.
Yeah.
You'll be one of the big boys someday.
Someday.
So what do you work during the day? Go to school? I'm not sure how.
Yeah, I work during the day.
Cool.
So that's how you're able to post, all the time, right?
Exactly.
Excellent.
What's the rest of your night plan? What do you do? Just keep reading more comics, or?
Watch Lost.
Yes, yeah, I'll be watching Lost after the show too.
What's your opinion on the season so far?
It's kind of mixed so far, but it's getting better.
Yeah, I agree. I was kind of disappointed at first, actually, but
when it took 3 episodes to show the first hour or whatever.
yeah. So hopefully, I'm keeping my fingers crossed. I'm keeping my hopes
Me too.
Cool.
So anything you want to talk about? Shout out real quick or something?
Here's your soapbox.
Just keep looking at the comic book DB and keep adding issues. And spread the word.
Cool.
Very good.
Thanks for giving us your number. Thanks for being home.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You're the first.
Cool. All
Thanks,
right, man.
Matt.
Well, we'll see you on the forum then.
Okay, thank you.
All right, have a good night.
Take care.
Bye.
Bye-bye.
So long.
Everybody reading their comic. He read how many comics on? Jeez.
I don't know. I didn't even try to figure it out.
That's right.
Hey, just another shout out. DCBS was to keep the indie challenge going. Make sure also with the Supreme by Alan Moore that you pick up Marlene #1 and Athena Voltaire #1. They're marked down 50%, and or you just do a search on them because it's kind of hard to find indie books in the other section. Just do a search and they'll pop up. And I got an email from Cameron today, and we're talking about how we can make sure this keeps going month to month, and the deadlines we need to meet and all that kind of crazy things. But I think the Indie Challenge is really going to be a nice little addition to the show.
Hey, we got a voicemail here. Let's do one of these.
Hey guys, this is Andrew from Bakersfield. I believe I go by Rue Manchu on the forums. I'm the guy with the Magneto was right avatar, and I'm also the guy who made the ever quoted comment about finally issue number 7 of House of M was my payoff. And I just wanted to explain it a little further because I'm starting to get annoyed with how it's been referenced. I read all the House of M stuff, and I just read issue 8, which was kind of a letdown. I'll admit that. But issue 7, like every issue I read, I was really into the story, and I love Bendis' work, so I knew it was going someplace. I didn't know exactly where it was going to go, but I knew it was going to build up to something, especially with reading previews of the decimation and all that. And so I got to issue 7, and that was it went to what, not exactly what I was thinking it was going to do, but it definitely led to something that I was waiting for. And so I don't want it to come across that like I slugged through the first 6 issues, going like, oh, I'm going to get something. I loved every issue of House of M and got to number 7. And I was like, all right, cool. This went to something I was hoping it was going to go to, in that it was, I thought it was a really great payoff. And So I just don't want it to come like, I don't want it to be presented like I, saw that and finally felt, okay, now it's been worth reading it. I felt that the whole thing was, I didn't feel like I was ripped off. I looked forward to every issue. So, and I even slogged through all of the House of M crossover books because I'm a dope. And, it's no Infinite Crisis, I have to admit. I'm a Marvel zombie, and I'm here to tell you that Infinite Crisis is knocking my socks off. But House of M number 7 was my payoff. House of M 8 was pretty good, but every issue was worthwhile to me. So keep up the show, guys. It's great, and thanks. Bye.
Cool.
There you go. Little clarification. Peter, you're sitting there completely silent. Let's not even get started on this topic again.
Well, because something else came out. There's again, not to go back to Newsarama, I wasn't even going to bring this up, but because I wasn't. There was an article with Bendis about House of M when it wrapped up, and you can go to one of the paragraphs because you'll get it word for word, but he said, I wrote the first few issues and then went and wrote issue 7. And because I wanted to, and as an author, I understand that's what writers do. And then he said, and then I went back and wrote the Spider-Man Wolverine adventure in between. And I went, okay, I guess, I know that still doesn't, defend my position when it comes to House of M. But I thought it was rather interesting. That's all I'm saying.
All right.
Enough said.
There we go. Done.
Done.
More emails are coming.
Done.
Yeah, geez, you're just really
I don't care.
stoking the fires, aren't you?
Yep.
Are we done for the day?
Yeah, I think that's
done.
Done. Just a reminder that this episode of Comic Geek Speak was sponsored by E. Gerber, the industry leader in long-term storage sleeves for your collection. Visit them at www.egerber.com. eGerber Products, the protector for the collector. They make all the top-quality Mylar bags and boards and boxes and things, so check them out. Oh, crap, I didn't cue up the music. Man, I need more hands here. I can't.
Focus,
I just
friend.
can't do it all. Here we go. Send us an email. It's comicgeekspeak@gmail.com. And visit our website, comicgeekspeak.com. Thanks to Bob at GameCircuit.net for hosting the files, and thanks to the guys at UpAllNightGaming.com for hosting the website. Please vote for us at Podcast Alley. And as always, we're brought to you in conjunction with WorldFamousComics.com.
Thanks to Morry and Carley.
Oh, absolutely. I always forget to thank them. That's silly. And just remember, we are uniting the world's mightiest heroes, one listener at a time.